You're 6 years old, and it's 4 in the morning. The man at your door isn't a neighbor. He's your master. He grabs your wrist before your eyes are fully open. Your mother doesn't move from the corner. She already said goodbye last night. You didn't understand why she was crying. You do now. Within the hour, you're standing barefoot on a cobblestone street in Manchester, 1843, holding a brush that's taller than you are. The air tastes like coal and rot. Your master points up at a chimney above a townhouse, narrow, black, disappearing into darkness. He tells you to climb it. You look up, you look at him. He smacks the back of your head and tells you to climb it again. So you do. Because what else is there? You're not a child anymore. You're a Flue Boy. And this is just Tuesday. Victorian England loved to talk about progress. Steam engines, railways, the British Empire spreading across the map like spilled tea. The newspapers celebrated industry. The upper class celebrated prosperity. And someone had to keep the chimneys clean so the fine people could stay warm while they celebrated. That someone was you. Climbing boys, mostly orphans, mostly stolen from workhouses, mostly between the ages of 4 and 10, were sent naked into flues barely wide enough for a cat. Why naked? Because clothing catches on brick and slows you down. Why so young? Because older boys couldn't fit. The soot packed into every pore of your skin. It crusted your eyelids shut. It filled your lungs like slow cement. Masters encouraged the climbing by lighting straw fires beneath their boys to motivate faster movement. That's not a metaphor. They literally lit fires under children. Still think the Industrial Revolution was a golden age? Keep going. You learned fast that hesitation earned you a burn on the ankle from a lit taper. So you climbed. Chimneys weren't straight. They twisted, branched, narrowed without warning. Boys got stuck. Some suffocated. Some fell. Most developed what people called chimney sweeps cancer, a brutal scrotal cancer caused by constant soot contact that became so common, doctors named it after the job. Your knees and elbows were raw on day 1. By the end of the first month, the skin had hardened into something that resembled leather more than flesh. Your master called it toughening up. You called it nothing, because you didn't have words for it yet. You were 6. Reformers tried to ban the practice. Parliament passed laws. Masters ignored them. The laws had no teeth, and the boys kept climbing. It took nearly a century of children dying in flues before enforcement actually stuck. If the chimney didn't kill you, maybe the mine would. Hundreds of miles of tunnels ran beneath the English countryside, and they needed bodies small enough to fit through the lowest passages. Children as young as 5 were sent underground into shafts so narrow you crawled on your stomach. Your job as a trapper was to sit alone in total darkness for 12 hours, pulling a rope to open and close ventilation doors whenever a coal cart passed. That was the whole job. Sitting. In the dark. Alone. For half a day. No light. No company. No sound except the distant rumble of earth and the occasional scrape of boots that might be a miner or might be your imagination. Older children worked as hurriers, harnessed to coal carts by chains around their waists, dragging loads on all fours through passages too low to stand in. Girls did this too. Nobody cared about the distinction underground. The coal didn't care either. Roof collapses, gas explosions, flooding. The mines took children the way a fire takes kindling, fast and without ceremony. Then there was the workhouse. If you were lucky enough to avoid the chimneys and the mines, and lucky is doing a lot of work in that sentence, you might end up here instead. Workhouses were where Victorian England sent its poor. The orphaned, the widowed, the destitute. They were sold to the public as charity. They were run like prisons. Children were separated from their parents at the gate. Full stop. You walked in with your mother, and you didn't see her again, maybe ever. You slept in a dormitory with 40 other children on straw that hadn't been changed since someone else died on it. You ate gruel. You know the word because of Dickens. But Dickens wasn't exaggerating. He was reporting. Thin oat porridge, twice a day, sometimes with a scrap of bread. Children worked 10 to 14 hours spinning, picking oakum, unraveling old tarred rope with bare fingers until they bled, or breaking rocks. Discipline was physical and immediate. Asking for more food was an offense. Running was an offense. Crying too loudly was an offense. The workhouse didn't want to rehabilitate you. It wanted to punish you for being poor, so thoroughly and publicly that no one else would dare ask for help. The people running these systems weren't all monsters in the cartoonish sense. Some were businessmen doing math. Some were moralists who genuinely believed hard labor built character in the poor. Some were politicians who never visited a mine or a workhouse in their lives and signed legislation from clean offices with warm fires, fires that some 6-year-old climbed into a chimney to make possible. The Mines Act of 1842 finally banned women and boys under 10 from underground work. The Chimney Sweepers Act took decades more to actually enforce. The workhouses ground on into the 20th century. Children who survived these systems came out with broken bodies, scarred lungs, and no education, cast back into the same poverty that swallowed them to begin with. Some became masters themselves. Some just disappeared into the record books as a name and an age and a cause of death that nobody at the time thought worth investigating. They weren't children to the system. They were units of labor, small, cheap, and replaceable.